This is my 1968 Rover P5B Coupe. I've owned it for 10 years, and the last time I started it, it had no oil pressure at all. Zero. That can destroy an engine in seconds. So what's gone wrong? Can I fix it? Or is this going to turn into an expensive nightmare? And more importantly, have I already damaged the engine? Up until now, the Rover's been running fine. I used it quite a bit last year and there were no problems. Then, a few weeks after a routine oil change, there was suddenly no oil pressure. So today, I'm checking and rebuilding the oil pump and trying to work out what's happened. I've already taken the oil pump off the engine and at first glance, I can't see anything wrong. There was quite a bit of muck inside, so I'm taking the sump off and going to clean that as well. What makes this so strange is the engine's always had really good oil pressure, so it might just be the pump has lost prime. On these engines, the oil pump has to pull oil from the sump, and that can be a weakness. So the plan today is to rebuild the oil pump, refit it and refit the sump, put some oil in it, and see what happens. And with a bit of luck, by the end of all this, the Rover might be back in business. Let's find out. Rover launched the P5 in 1958 as a more upmarket model to the successful P4. The P5 was launched with a straight 6 engine mounted on a subframe, and although it was very refined, it was also gently criticised for a lack of power in many period road tests. Rover made several enhancements to the engine, but they were very aware that they needed a more powerful engine for the future. Meanwhile, on the other side of the Atlantic, in 1960, GM's Buick division launched a new aluminium V8 in the Buick Special. Buick called this the Fireball V8, and it was a powerful, compact and lightweight engine that for a number of reasons only lasted a few years before Buick reverted to a cast iron design. Around the same time, Rover's US division were looking for potential engines that Rover might use as a shortcut to designing a new engine from scratch. In January 1965, they managed to persuade GM to sell the design of the Buick V8 to Rover, along with the tooling and a few complete engines. Rover immediately set about modifying the engine for the UK and decided to launch it in an updated P5 to be called the P5B, B for Buick. This made sense as it was a relatively low volume model, so it would be a useful proving ground as well as giving the P5 a new lease of life. So, in late 1967, Rover launched the P5B. It was immediately a success, significantly improving the performance and handling of the P5 and turning it into a skinhead in a bowler hat, as one journalist wrote. Rover went on to use the new V8 in the P6, the 1970 Range Rover, the SD1 of 1976 and many Land Rovers. British Leyland used it in the TR8 and MGB GT V8 amongst other models, and the engine was adopted by sports car manufacturers like TVR, Marcus and Morgan, growing up to 5 litres in some applications. Not many engines have been so successful, and there's lots of books on the Rover V8, its history and tuning. So let's get on with rebuilding the oil pump. I've cleaned everything, put it in an ultrasonic bath for half an hour or so. So this is where the oil filter screws on, and then this is where you can see the 2 gears sit against this, and you can see there's some very light scoring, so I'm going to go live with that. I don't think it'll affect the pump too much. The gears are in pretty good condition. Again, there's a little bit of wear on this shaft. What I have done though is ordered obviously some new gaskets. Right, so need to get on with putting this back together, and what I'm going to do, because I think the issue was the pump wasn't priming, I'm going to pack it with petroleum jelly or Vaseline. So like all good mechanics, I've got a big tub of Vaseline in the workshop, so I'm going to pack it with that between the gears. Yeah, so you see here it says fully pack the housing with petroleum jelly. Note only petroleum jelly, no other grease. So before we put this on, we need to pack the gears with petroleum jelly, and hopefully that will allow it to prime. The other thing I did, so you probably won't see all of this in the camera, but this is the sump I've taken off. It wasn't too bad. There wasn't too much sludge in the bottom. You can see the drain plug there. But there was a bit, so I cleaned it all out. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I put some rust converter on because it was a bit rusty outside, and then just sprayed it. And the original one was gold. I don't know if that was factory, but I thought I'd go with gold. So I have a Trump Sump, which is all very nice. So let's get under the car and we will start putting this back into the car. Okay, this is going to be a bit cosy. Here's the oil pump housing. You can see the one gear with the shaft goes in this, then the other gear just idles on this shaft here. So what I need to do is get the gears back in and then pack this with petroleum jelly and then put the main part of the pump back on here, or the body of the pump, and the oil filter kind of sits down here, so it's all a little bit squashed. While we're down here, and I'm literally lying on the driveway because the car is outside of the garage for other reasons. The garage is full of house stuff. So you can see I've got the sump off. You can see the crankshaft down there in the bottom of the con rods. You can maybe also see that, you know, it's not the cleanest, but it's not awful. And this is the baffle, I think, the sump baffle, and here's the strainer, so I'm just going to clean that. Okay, so there's a strainer, a bit cleaner. Okay, I'm just going to turn over the engine and you stay here and get in the right position and just check that gear turns, just to be sure. Alright, did you see? Let's have a look at the video. Okay, so I just checked the video and there was movement. You should be able to see that is now packed with petroleum jelly. So I actually took the gear with the shaft out as well to pack behind it, and it's, as it says in the manual, make sure that, you know, the gears, it's packed between the teeth of the gears. So couldn't get much else in there. This is the problem with taking things apart and then putting them back together again 4 months later. I forgot to put this into the body, screw it into the body of the pump. Is this the oil pressure sender for the warning light, I think? Anyway, forgot to put it in, so I'm just going to add that in. That would have been interesting if I'd left the warning light sender out. I'd have got oil everywhere. And here is the new filter. So I'm just going to put some oil on the seal and then screw that on. I'll fill it as well, actually, because you should fill them before you put them on. So I'm just going to do that, and then I think we are done with the pump, fingers crossed. There we are, we've got our new filter on, just done up finger tight. When I bought this, couldn't get the original one off when I bought the car. Someone had really tightened it up. You don't need to do that. Right, onto the sump. So this is quite tight. You kind of have to rotate it. I think it said in the manual something about lifting the engine slightly on the mountings, but I managed to get it out just by kind of turning it and getting it out between the steering and the subframe. Hopefully I can get it back in. Okay, it's the next day. So a very odd problem. I got the sump out about a week ago, and as I say, you've seen I've sprayed it, but I can't get it back in. I didn't take anything off. I managed to kind of rotate it and get the sump out somehow. I just can't get it back in. I spent probably 20 minutes yesterday trying different things.
Anyway, having done a bit of research, I mean, I don't know how I got it out, but most people say you have to remove one of the steering linkages to get the sump out and in. So very odd. I got it out somehow, but anyway, so I'm going to have to remove one of the steering linkages. So I'm just going to get on with that. Hopefully I've got a splitter that will work, we'll see. And then hopefully we can get the sump in and get some oil back in. So let's get on with that. This is the steering box here, or the end of it. Well, there's the steering box behind, and then this is the drop arm, and then there's a steering linkage that goes across to an idler, or whatever it's called anyway, kind of replicated on the other side. So I need to, I think, remove this, and that will then give me space, can't really see it, but to get the sump back in. How I got it out, I have no idea. Okay, success. I only have this puller and it just about fitted on. Anyway, I've managed to get that out of the way, so hopefully now I can get on with the putting the sump back on. Alright, well, so the sump is back on. That's not a job I want to do too often. It's just a lot of bolts and they're not easy to get to. But anyway, it's on there. Obviously I'll only be under here again polishing the goldness of my sump in the future. I think I can put oil in and we can try turning it over and seeing if we have oil pressure. Fingers crossed after all of this. Right, I think we're ready to try the car. I've just put the steering back together and yeah, let's turn it over and see if there's any oil pressure. Okay, I'm trying to give you the best view, but there's a lot of reflections, but hopefully you can see. I've turned the fuel pump off, so we shouldn't start the engine, but let's see what happens. Okay, well that's promising. You can see the gauge has moved. Let's turn the fuel pump on now. And give it some choke as well. Well, we have oil pressure. Okay, well that's a success, thank God. So we've got oil pressure. So I think it was just the oil pump had lost prime, which I don't want it to happen again, so I'm just going to start it every few weeks and fingers crossed. Anyway, enough of that, enough waffle. Let's close this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Lots of hi-fi content, lots of more Rover content coming. So I will see you in the next video. Bye.